How to return a value in C. Complete categorization. A function in the C language consists of a function name, a list of arguments or parameters placed inside the parentheses after the name, and a return type, which can be anything from a simple int to void or even a structure. Within the function body, we use these parameters to perform various logical or mathematical operations. The results produced inside the function must then be returned to the caller so they can be used inside the main program. When the data to be returned when the data to be returned becomes more complex, such as arrays, strings, or entire structures, the process of storing and returning them through the function name is no longer straightforward. This is where more advanced and efficient return techniques become essential, and we will explore these methods in the following section. Return a simple value by value, return a small struct by value, use caller path pointer, use global variables as a return mechanism, use return with enum for readability, return a dynamically allocated memory. Number one, return a simple value by value. In this section, we are going to explore the first method of returning a value from a function in C, returning a simple value by value. This is one of the most common and straightforward methods used for basic data types like integers, floats, and characters. Imagine we have a function that adds two integers and returns the result. Here, the function simply produces a new value and sends it back to the main program. Example code. In the main function, we can insert this return value in a variable and then print it. This method is also widely used in microcontroller programming for tasks like checking sensor status, performing math calculations, or returning error code. Advantages: simple and straightforward, efficient for small data, easy to read and maintain. Important notes: for large data or complex structures, other methods uh, other methods are recommended, and returning large data by value can impact memory usage and performance. So, returning a simple value by value is an ideal and professional approach for small standard data types and form the foundation for more advanced function techniques in C. Used for integers, floats, characters, etc. Ideal for microcontroller status, check, or math function. Syntax: int add two variable int a and b. Return a plus b. Main usage: how we use this kind of function in main function. In microcontroller programming, yes, we can use it. Efficient and professional used for sensor status, error, code, or etc. Number two, return a small struct by value. Now let's talk about returning a small struct by value. This method works well for structs with just a few fields like 2 or 3. You create a struct inside the function and simply return it. In main, you assign the return struct to a variable and access its field as usual. Important: use this method only for small structs because returning large structs can be inefficient in it copies all data, which may slow down your program. For a small, simple data, it's clean, readable, and easy to use. Used for a small struct with 1, 2, 3 fields. Syntax type the struct int x, y points. And main usage, you can see int main point p, get point function, and printf the value p.x, p.y, return 0. In microcontroller programming, its uses limited. Use only for small structs. Avoid for large data due to the copy overhead. Use color pass pointer return via arguments. This is very important techniques. Now let's dive into another way of returning value from a function in C. Using a color pass pointer, also called returning via arguments. This method is perfect when you want a function to return more complex data like arrays, structs, a string, or even multiple value at once. Here's how it works. Instead of returning a value directly, the function modifies a variable that you pass to it. For example, if we want to get a temperature, if we want to get a temperature reading, for example, void get temperature function, in the main function, we create a variable and pass it address. In main function, we create a variable and get it, pass it address. Float temp, get temperature, printf the value. Why this? Why use this method? Why use this method? Efficient memory usage, especially for large or complex data, ideal for communicating with sensors or peripherals, allows multiple outputs from a single function, and pro tip, always make sure the pointer points to the valid memory to avoid crash. In short, color pass pointers are a professional and safe approach when dealing with a more advanced C program, especially in embedded systems and microcontrollers. Important notes. When using the color pass pointer method, you don't need to define a pointer in main. This is very important. You don't need to define a pointer in main. Instead, simply define a normal variable and pass it address to the function. The function will use this address to update the variable's value directly. This approach keeps your code simple while effectively or while efficiency returning values. Number 4, use global variables as a return mechanism. Another way to get data from a function is by using global variables. Here you define a variable outside all function and the function changes its value. In main, you can directly use this updated value. This method is helpful for values that need to be accessed everywhere in your program, like system status flags or interrupt flags. In C, a global variable is defined outside of all functions. In C, global variable is defined outside of all functions, usually at the top of your code file. This way, every function in the file can access and modify it. This way, every function in the file can access and modify it. Caution: only use global variables when necessary. If you overuse them, your code can become confusing and difficult to track because many functions can change the same variable. This can lead to unexpected bugs and makes debugging much harder. Avoid using globals variable for temporary variable and that are only needed inside one function. Avoid using globals for temporary variable that are only needed inside one function. Used for persistent system status, int status syntax, you can see syntax, and main usage. In microcontroller programming, using limited, use sparingly, avoid for temporary or private value. Okay, for system-wide flags, ISR flags, or etc. Number 5, use return with enum for readability. It's a very important way. Another great way to return data from a function is by using an enum. Enum lets you give a meaningful names to different return value instead of just numbers. This method is especially useful for status codes, error indicators, and mode selections, or any small set of predefined options. Instead of remembering what 0, 1, or 2 mean, you can use descriptive names like OK, error, or busy. This is important. Instead of remembering what 0, 1, or 2 mean, you can use descriptive names like OK, error, or busy. This makes your code much cleaner, easier to read, and less prone to mistakes. Use for status code, errors, modes, syntax you can see, and main usage. In microcontroller programming, yes, we can use it professional and readable, best for embedded drivers and libraries. Number 6, return dynamically allocated memory in malloc. Next, we have returning dynamically allocated memory using malloc. This method is useful when you need to return large or variable length data from a function. Inside the function, you allocate memory on the heap, store your data, and return a pointer to it. In main, you receive the pointer, use the data, and don't forget to free the memory to avoid memory leak. Important, this method is generally not recommended for microcontroller programming because heap allocation can use fragmentation or crashes. It's better suited for PC programs or high-end embedded system with an operating system. Used for PC application, large or variable length data, syntax, and main usage. In microcontroller programming, we can use no um, and heap allocation is risky because heap allocation is risky, can lead to fragmentation or crashes. Okay, for PC or high-end embedded Linux systems. Summary table. Here's a quick summary of different ways to return data from a function. Return simple type like int, float, or char. Fast, clean, and ideal for embedded projects. Color path pointers. Perfect for strings, structs, or arrays, especially when you need to return multiple or large values efficiently. Return small structs. Suitable if the struct has just 1 to 3 fields, but avoid large struct to keep it efficient. Return dynamically allocated memory. Works for variable length data on PCs, but avoid it in bare metal microcontrollers. Global variables can hold system flags or persistent status, but overusing them can make code error prone and hard to maintain. Return enum. Excellent for status codes or modes, making your code clear, professional, and easy to read. You can see the table here. And MCU. Use a professional and notice. Tip for embedded C program. Use pointer arguments or simple return type. Avoid heap unless you're using RTOS with strict control. This is very important. Thank you for your watching, and we can see you in the next video.